So of course, there's our glorious triptych. The North Transept, I point out, we now have an ADA-approved wheelchair ramp, which was actually inaugurated, I believe sometime in January on a Wednesday evening, the week that the altar for the Holy Cross Chapel had been delivered. And after the Wednesday evening service, Wednesday evening Mass, Father Casey wanted to show off the progress. And those of us who are usually here on Wednesday came into the chapel, into the nave. And at some point, I was distracted looking around, turned around to discover that Kurt Thompson had wheeled himself up the ramp, thus inaugurating it for its first real use as it was intended. And he was commenting on how different the view from up in the chancel was, and joked that he was higher than Father Casey standing on the floor of the nave. So the ramp has been put to good use at least once. Here's a view of the chapel from the chancel. And this is what we think at this point we will be using for our setup for chapel services. But I want to give you a really good view of this amazing altar. The woodwork is exquisite. And as you walk around the 8 sides, the design in the wood grain seems to reflect the light differently at each side. So I think it's a lovely piece of work, workmanship. And of course, learning about the history of earlier altars actually being octagonal was rather enlightening. I can't share that history, unfortunately, because I don't remember all the details, but Father Casey gave us a little primer on that, and that was wonderful, the week that the altar was delivered. So let's go back. You'll also notice that we have, the steps are now have contrasting edges in a similar material. And so this is the entry from behind the reredos into the sacristy. And this, what at first glance appears to be etched crosses and the prayers that are prayed by Eucharistic ministers at the end of our ablutions after a Mass. Blessed, praised, hallowed, and adored be Jesus Christ on his throne of glory, in the most holy sacrament of his altar, and in the hearts of his faithful people. Amen. May the souls of the faithful departed rest in peace, and may light perpetual shine upon them. Amen. That was actually painted on that wall by our own T.J. McCoy. He started this on Wednesday and finished it yesterday. It's absolutely a perfect thing to see as you walk into our sacristies from this point. This is the clergy vesting area. Bishop Smith's mitre is there for tonight's evensong. So there are a few adjustments we will probably make as we begin using this space, but here is our clergy vesting area, and they have their own bathroom. And go back through the central entrance. This is the Altar Guild working sacristy. And you will notice how bright it is. Light countertops, light colors, and that reflect the light. And we have great lighting in here. We also have amazing windows. We will be getting some window treatments for them. We have 2 sinks, one for dishes, one for linens, and the piscina for Blessed Sacrament. This is an amazing space. I'm so grateful that our parish was able to have the capital campaign that made this renovation and new space possible. And I'm so blessed to be a part of this. And the last area, of course, is the acolyte lay ministers vesting area. This wall is a fireproof backed wall, and we will be building a special rack to hold torches and processional crosses eventually. The exception will probably be the seraph cross, because it is too tall to actually fit with this somewhat low ceiling. So this is the vesting area for lay liturgical ministers and acolytes. You'll notice we have closet storage. I think we're referring to this now as our high density storage area. These are like the stacks in college libraries. They actually roll back and forth. We're keeping them for the most of the time. We think we'll be keeping them in this arrangement and not moving them back and forth, except when we need to access things stored on the other rows. Our MCs will be using this closet for their vestments. We have a privacy area for a changing room for those who need to have a bit of modesty when they are changing in and out of vestments, perhaps not wearing a top in hotter weather under several layers of vestments. We will be getting a mirror and a chair or bench of some kind in there. This is the thurifer station. And Matt's sort of started getting ready here for tonight's evensong. He did some training with some new thurifers yesterday as well. The walls on all three sides, again, are fireproof backed, and there is a vent-a-hood for when coals or incense are here burning to pull the smoke and incense out so we don't get choked out by smoke and incense here in this area. We also have this wonderful magnetic whiteboard that has a floor plan of the nave and the transepts and the chancel. And we have magnetic movable rows of chairs and individual chairs so that we can change the layout for different services to get an idea of where things are, and ministers can prepare by sort of walking through what will happen when and who will be where. This is a rough sketch of the labyrinth and the lineup for preparation for entering the church today for the dedication. We have our now new dedicated vestibule, which provides access from the parking lot with another ADA ramp so that it is possible to enter the sacristy and vesting areas without having to go through the nave and behind the reredos. And then we enter back into what will at first appear familiar. And here we are into the narthex behind the North Transept. And back once again into the nave. And there's that ramp again. Hope you enjoyed the tour.